Good afternoon, welcome to the 100 subscriber Q&A answer video. I am your host, Lionel, aka Cadaverific, aka KO Hartz. I hope you have all that written down. Thank you. I am doing this because we reached 100 subscribers on YouTube. We are currently at, I think, 143 on the road to 1,000. It is ridiculous. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for everything that you've helped. I did this as just a fun thing to do with a new game, and all of a sudden it's become a really fun and exciting thing to do. And for that I have a lot of thanks for my wife, my lovely friends who've supported me, the ones who have egged me on to do this for quite some time, and for everybody watching, for everybody liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. So we've got questions, and let's see if we can give some at least somewhat entertaining answers. Let you know a bit more about myself, let me know a bit more about you, and let's all share, get to know each other a little bit. Let's crack that Easter egg and get to know the gooiness that's inside. Yeah. Okay, so first comment we have here, I have my little setup here. My wife set this all up if it looks super professional, and for those that know me, it looks like way more commitment than I've ever put into anything. I'm even going to try and add music to the back of this, so it'll make the cuts a bit more fluid. Yeah. Okay, so first question is from David O'Brien. Asks, are you going to do a face reveal? No. Second one is from Not Black. Okay. Skull Servants attract other Soul Servants. Yes, they do. The deck profiles of the anti-meta decks always come together. I always find that Dryden players don't talk to other Dryden players about what Dryden players do, because it's just, do you suck your thumb the same way as I do? Yeah, sometimes I do, like, instead of, and then it's like, oh yeah, cool. Eldritch players are just too busy high-fiving each other in the corner. So yes, anti-meta decks do tend to find each other and bring each other closer together. It's a fantastic thing. We're here to break the ladder, as I like to put it. Next up from Symbiex161. I think I know this person. I know this person from my previous life in another country. Are you going to be branching out into other games like roguelikes, an example? Also, much love from South Africa. Well, thank you very much, Symbiex. Yes, I am a large roguelike player. I've played a huge amount of Binding of Isaac since the very first Binding of Isaac came out. I've been playing that, and then Binding of Isaac Rebirth, Afterbirth, Antibirth, Repentance, all of them. Binding of Isaac is one of the best roguelikes I have ever played in my life. The variety is extreme. The items drops are extreme. The interactions are just colossal. Edmund McMillan, who made the game, is just unbelievable. He's got a new game coming out. It's a roguelike involving cats. It's going to be amazing, so I'm looking out for that. But yes, I will have some roguelikes coming in the future. I haven't played Binding of Isaac in a while because I have been currently playing Skull the Hero Slayer, which, if you haven't seen it, it is a roguelike platformer kind of in a similar vein to Dead Cells, which is another name drop roguelike that I love to play. But Skull the Hero Slayer has got me hooked. It started off slow. There was no explanation. You just dropped in, you just do your thing, and the exposition is great. But holy Moses, it is incredible. It is so fun. So if I could recommend any roguelikes besides Binding of Isaac, Skull the Hero Slayer and Dead Cells are just games that keep on giving from companies that keep on giving, and they're absolutely fantastic. So yes, it's kind of hard to kind of start a new series of videos with a roguelike that you're already like hundreds of hours in. I mean, probably Skull, I'm probably up to about 50 hours anyway. So what I'm on the lookout for is a new roguelite. I know Rogue Book, the card game one, is coming out soon, because it's not just roguelikes. I love card games. Slay the Spire is a fantastic game. Love it. I have my classes I love, Poison, and I have my classes that I hate, fucking Orby guy. So it's hard to start those unless I start a new profile and stuff. If there's any roguelikes you do recommend, do pop them in the comments. I will purchase them when they're on cheapy, or if they're cheap enough, I'll get them, and then we'll do a whole new series, especially if they're card game based. Love me card games, tactics, and roguelikes. Those are it. I won't play, and fighting games. I don't play FIFA or COD or anything like that. I was heavy into Overwatch for a while though. So yeah. Next up from one of my best friends, Lee. She says, you can only pick one game to play for the next 5 years, and the soundtrack is the only music you can stream. What game is it? I thought very long and hard about this, because it's a two-part question and it's a big one. So I can only play the one game for the next 5 years, and you can only listen to the music of that game for the next 5 years. And I thought long and hard about it, and when it comes to genres that are replayable is the key word, because you want a game that you're not going to get tired of. You want a game whose music you're not going to get tired of. So you want a game that has variety. You want a game that you can play for 5 years and pretty much say only at the end of the 5 years that yes, you explored every avenue of that. And that to me is encompassed by JRPGs, Japanese role-playing games, if you didn't know. They just put their all into it. They got professional writers, and they just do it all. They just do it all. And I think for those who know me, they know what I'm going to say. The game that I would play for the next 5 years, and whose soundtrack I would only listen to for the next 5 years, is Persona 5, specifically Persona 5 Royale. Oh, thinking about it, just thinking about the levels of music in that game, just the chilled, like the music changes, whether it's sunny or whether it's windy. When it's a rainy day, you have your chilled music when it's normal at nighttime, but then you have your chilled music when it's a rainy day. It's unbelievable. And Persona 5 1 was honestly one of the best games I ever played. It took a long time. I was like 160 hours before I finished it, but Persona 5 Royale came out. I'm still not done. I'm like 70 hours in. I'm still not done. I know where I am. I'm maybe at halfway, maybe. But there's so much extra to do. The soundtracks are incredible. The relationship building is unreal. Tied to Kemi for life. I gotta get myself some of that Nurse Bay. But it's just, JRPGs are just, they're just good. And if it wasn't Persona 5 Royale, and I'd probably make myself cry a lot during the 5 years, but if it wasn't Persona 5 Royale, it would be Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X. It was just Ode to Xanark, and can't deal. It's just very good. It's just very good. Those who've played it know. It's just, can I get a whistle at the ocean? Oh, yeah, so that'd be it. Persona 5 Royale or Final Fantasy X. Those would be the ones. Okay, so next up, free comps or giveaways from Owen Murphy, and collaborations and everything like that. Well, yes, actually, I'm working on some stuff like that. So if there's any, once we get to 1,000 subscribers, I want to celebrate by doing a charity live stream. I'm going to see once we hit 1,000 if I can I'll research during the time about how to actually set up a charity live stream. I don't think it's as simple as just giving a bank account details. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But what I'd really like to do is I'd really like to do a charity live stream when we hit 1,000 subscribers, kind of like a 12-hour kind of non-stop playthrough of possibly a roguelike, possibly just 12 hours of commanding the ladder in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel with the Skull Servants, jotting down our win and loss ratios against specific decks so that we have specific information. Because I know there's people who are number watchers, not Numeron players, but number watchers who really love those stats. So I'd want to do a 12-hour, 9-hour live stream, something like that, and I'd want to do it as a charity stream to donate to either the Ehlers Danlos Foundation, which is a charity that means a lot to me because it's a condition my wife suffers from, or for the community or foundation for autism, which is something one of my family members, my youngest sister, suffers with as well. So once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will definitely be doing charities. And if there is anything I can give away that I have of myself, like I got the hats now, my moniker, so that'll stay with me. But I got Leatherface, that was an exclusive from a loot box. I got puppets as well. You can't have Nappa. He's my favorite. He's my favorite. But pop-ups, we'll think of something. We'll think of something. But there'll definitely be some form of a giveaway or competitions in the future. So absolutely, just watch this space. Road to 1,000, and then it's all charity streaming, and we'll definitely try and use our nerdism and anti-metaism to make a difference. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look. From Neo Inferno, who was not only is a beloved family member, but is one of the streamers that actually got me into streaming in the first place. He asks, what is your most favorite card of all time besides King of the Skull Servants? Besides King of the Skull Servants. So, I'll give you two. The first one is because it was a bit of a heart of the cards moment, but I remember looking through. We had the Yu-Gi-Oh magazines. I'll see if I can put a little picture up here of what a Yu-Gi-Oh magazine used to look like in 2005, 2006. But there was a Yu-Gi-Oh magazine that used to tell you the exact contents of the deck of the booster packs that you could go buy. And me and my friends in South Africa used to save up all our pocket money and go walk to Toys R Us and go buy card packs, because you didn't have a debit card or anything. You couldn't go online and buy the cards singularly themselves. So you had to just buy the packs and hope you got it, or found somebody else that had it and hope you got enough good shit to trade. And I was running a Gravekeeper's Burn deck with Gravekeeper's Vassal and Gravekeeper's Cannon Soldier. I think I was running something janky like that with like Skull Invitation to just do like constant ticks of burn damage. It was not very good, but when it worked, it worked. And I remember looking through all the cards that you could get, and I think it was Pharaonic Guardian. It was one of those ones around that time. And I remember seeing this trap card, because a lot of targeting was coming out. And I remember seeing the trap card, Judgment of Anubis. I'll see if I can put a picture up there. And Judgment of Anubis is not a very good card, but it was a very good card back then. And what it did was, whenever I believe it's a spell or trap would target one of your monsters, you could negate the effect and destroy it. But then after that, you could select one monster on your opponent's side of the field, tribute it, and your opponent took damage equal to that monster's attack points. So it was very good for people who played monsters, because people back in the day tended to play front row then back row. So they played monsters, then they played spells and traps, rather than playing clear and then once clear then play your monsters. So it was a whole different meta. It was a whole different playstyle. And I remember my friend who drove us there, because you always have that rich friend who's 16 but has a car, drove us there and bought 5 packs for himself and didn't get some good stuff, but I bought 1 pack. 1 pack was all the pocket money I had for the month. 1 pack. And I opened it up and I got Judgment of Anubis, and I flipped my shit. I was freaking out. So I was so ecstatic. I put that card into every deck I made. When I made Gravekeepers, when I made Ancient Gears, when I made Terror King or Archfiends, which is another thing. I loved that card so much. I did it till the sides got worn off. It was incredible. But my favorite card is probably, I think my favorite card is actually an entire archetype, and it's the oldest archetype if you know Yu-Gi-Oh. My favorite cards are all the Archfiends. All of them. And I'm not talking about these new Archfiends like Red Archfiend Dragon, get out of here, get off my lawn. I mean Dice Archfiends, I mean Chessboard Archfiends, I mean Terror King, I mean Death Rook, I mean Dark Bishop, I mean Infernal Queen, I mean Shadow Knight, I mean the spell card Checkmate, I mean all of those. I mean running Pandemonium Field Spell so that you did not have to pay for life point costs. And I mean running Warrior of Zero, which was a 16 attack, 16k attack, or 1600 attack, 1600 defense monster, which couldn't be searched by Witch of the Black Forest or Sangan, which were very popular at the time. Could only be gotten by reinforcements of the army, which was still a super or ultra rare at the time. So I didn't have one. And I didn't have more than 1 copy, but I managed to get the secret rare Mazira Deville, and Mazira Deville was incredible because if you tributed Warrior of Zera, while Pandemonium was on the field, you could summon Mazira Deville, and Mazira Deville could select up to 3 cards in your opponent's hand and discard them. Just wreck them. Now, this was in the meta with Pot of Greed, so I mean, he could just instantly refill his hand. But nowadays, running Mazira Deville, I mean, yeah, your opponent 9 times out of 10 probably wants those cards in the graveyard, but most of these monsters are, when normal summoned or special summoned, summon this thing to the field or dump this thing to the graveyard. So you taking control of that does have power. Don't let them tell you any difference. Why Dark Worlds was so popular. So Archfiends, and specifically Mazira Deville, was great, because then it led on to Archlord Zerato, the angelic version, and then there was Dark Lord Zerato. There was just a whole other storyline through this Warrior of Zera. Zera the Mant, the old school ritual of 2800 attack, was a Warrior of Zera card. It's part of the whole lore. And then you got Gagagiko and Gagagiko. No, I didn't have a stroke just there. But you had all these card lores, and they were amazing. But Mazira Deville, definitely. Okay. What attracts you to Skull Servants from S. Gert Power, or S. Girl Power, whichever one it is? What attracted me to Skull Servants? Back in the day, we used to run janky double duel rules. And I mean janky double duel rules. Was your graveyard my graveyard too? That kind of thing. And we just made it up. I was playing it with friends. And we used to double duel pretty much every weekend, every second weekend. And we had Skull Servants. We all had Skull Servants. They were just booster pack filler. But I remember I got a King of the Skull Servants, and so did my friend. And I was like, I want that. There's no support for this other than just having Skull Servants, but I want this. I want to build a weird ass zombie deck, and I did. I built a weird. I slid them into my Gravekeepers, and then he gave me the other ones, and then he got another one. He started running somewhat zombies in his Angel deck as well, and then at certain times, like very very loosely, we would end up winning by having a King of the Skull Servants that could take his 3 Skull Servants from his graveyard and my 3 Skull Servants from my graveyard, and just having this big 6k beefcake on the board that could decimate an opponent. And it was a great feeling. And then I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively with the actual physical cards around about 2008, 2009. I did a couple of online games at the time, Dueling Network. I was big into Dueling Network. So I missed out, and then I was watching on YouTube and saw that they were coming out with stuff like Wightprince and Wightmare, and then Legacy of the Duelist came out, and I was playing that, and then I saw they had Wightprince, Wightmare, and Wightprincess, and then I was like, oh, so there's now active stuff to look for these cards to try and support this. So, this is very interesting. And then I played Legacy of the Duelist, and it's easy enough to get Uni-Zombies, and it's easy enough to get Armageddon Knightx in there. So I built a deck, which was good. But Wightbaking, when Wightbaking came out, when I saw another YouTuber by the name of DP Yu-Gi-Oh! Do a video on Wightbaking, and I watched it, and I was like, oh wow. So Wightbaking gives card draw while discarding, but lets you select the card draw you want. So you have full power of this. Like, it's too good. And then I was like, so not only was I like, okay, Konami got a comment from a card designer that Skull Servants was the weakest card ever made, and why would it be an archetype? Like, what are they trying to pull? So Konami was like, oh, do you really think so? Watch this. And then just released a whole archetype. But the fact that they got to the point where the archetype is still anti-meta, but cycles cards super well, doesn't care about Ash Blossoms, because I'll just do it again. Doesn't target. It doesn't need to target, because Wightprincess just lowers everything on the field, and is super easy to summon. Can go through all level 1s and stuff. Zombie supports all work for the archetype. And then at the end of the day, after everything, where all of these decks do negates, where you can summon Angel of Perfections and Drytons and all these other Galaxy Photon Dragons, or the Utopia with Fry's Warrior Monster with all these ZWs and all the letterings on it. You can summon all of that. But I can discard 2 or 1 even Wightprincess, drop your attack points by 300 times your level, bringing you from a 3-3 to a 3-3 to a 300, and then do a whole bunch of janky stuff and get an 8k King of the Skull Servants. Then you realize, well, he's not targeting me. He's not targeting me with effects. He's not doing anything. What's he doing? He's attacking.
No! What year is it?
Is it 2009? He's attacking and he's winning? That's the reason. That's the reason. They do old school stuff like attack and not target. It's incredible to watch. Like, to just know as you build up this monster, your opponent's sitting there going, "That a skull servant? Am I dying to a skull?" That card was in like the first packs. What am I doing dying to a skull servant? In fact, one of the older games actually used to have a trophy. If you like a trophy on the PlayStation, if you could finish an opponent with skull servant. So they knew what they were doing, and that's why. My goal is to get the whole deck profile so well that eventually Konami's like, maybe we should limit baking to like 2, because currently they're all at 3, and it's especially baking is too good. If he was at 2, perfect. If he was at 1, the deck would suffer incredibly. Because honestly, it's why I run, check my deck profiles in the bottom of the videos. That's why I run Monster Reincarnation. Get rid of cards you don't like, bring cards back. It's also why I run Hand Destruction. It's an easy block for Ash Blossom, and if they don't block it, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards you don't want. Your graveyard does want them in the graveyard. So it's a great. I'll do a separate video where I break down my choice for the deck list. Some of it's normal stuff like Nibs and Ash Blossoms, but like Hand Destruction is my personal choice, and so is Monster Reincarnation. I haven't seen that in a lot of other decks, and it does me very well because you can discard Wightbaking. You can only have 1 Wightbaking effect per turn. Discard Wightbaking, Monster Reincarnation, bring it back. As soon as your opponent's turn is over, you've got a 4K Skull King on board. And if he tries to destroy it, discard Wightbaking, block it, save it, and then Wightbaking's effect goes on. Draw 2, discard 1. That's now 2 extra in the graveyard. You discarded Prince because you do it with there because you have Wightmare, because why wouldn't you? That's another 3 on top of that. So your 4 goes to a 7 and doesn't get destroyed. And you've got Lady in White on the board probably. So he's also immune to spells and traps. The deck is solid. Does lose to Kaiju's though. Ashleen McSweeney, can you do voiceovers with your games? Very soon. I stay in a 1-bedroom apartment. My PlayStation is in the main room, as is my lovely wife most nights. So I don't want to suddenly record her and shove her to the bedroom, or shove her to watching videos or movies or anything like that with headphones on or anything like that, or force her to be quiet just because I'm recording videos. So yeah, very soon. Hopefully. Give me some time. Hopefully if we get to 1K I can get out of this place. It's a great apartment, but everybody got to start somewhere. Even Yugi's deck was trash in the beginning. Don't tell him that. Comrade Kirby, who has been a major commenter on a lot of my videos. There's a couple of people that have been sticking around for a while. Comrade Kirby's one. I think there's a fluffy. I'm not going to bastardize the name. Fluffy or Floofy something. I'll find it in the comment section. But a couple of very very frequent commenters, and I'm very much appreciative. Thank you, Comrade Kirby. Do you intend on making videos unlike the ones with the original format, like the format of do duel, record duel, edit duel, post, or like do one where it's doing like a session recording of live gameplay? Absolutely, yeah, I could absolutely do that, and it would bring a lot of attention. You are correct. It's one of the things that I do want to do. Again, it's just because I have my wife in the house, I don't want to have to shove her away. And most of the time, like, I'm going to upload a video tomorrow. It's going to be one of the most intense games I ever had with an anti-meta deck, and just as a preview, it's Gravekeepers, which the Gravekeeper deck I built that only works around the fusions. It's to get Quintet Magician out is very, very good. But it's that versus one of the better Monarch decks I've ever seen, and it's a fight to the finish. That video that I'm going to record of all of that stuff cut out and sped up, because you know how the Master Duel video works, it's about like 5.5 minutes. That duel was probably like 45 to 50 minutes, and we were both intensely reading cards to try and find ways around. So saving that for a live stream, because even if I do like 9 to 12 hour live streams, what's it going to be, like a couple of quick Drayton duels, and then like most of the intense ones are going to be like 30 to 45 minutes. Like, it's going to be great to comment, but there's going to be a lot of dead air. I'll have to do some, like, the live stream would be great, it'll be long, and then I'll have to do some cutting for the actual video. But yeah, no, we'll definitely do something like that in the future. Again, it's just circumstance, but yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the comment. Ben Stotch, congratulations. Oh, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Gods of War. He'll get what that means. Question from Jose Whoops. Who is the most waifu material out of the Skull Servant archetype monsters? Also, not to get political, but nice face reveal. Thank you. I made it myself. Who's the most waifu material? The king. He stands atop everybody and he makes purple rags look good. He's the waifu. Or the gaifu, if that's a thing. Mark the 3rd. Keep up the great work. Love seeing the Skull Servants just surprise and then decimate their opponents. That's what they do. Your opponent can't hit that surrender button fast enough because they're too busy doing this. Is that a Skull Servant? Oh, am I dead? Hope he targets. He didn't. That's what all of this is about. Finish them with anti-meta decks. It's not Skull Servants and you want to surprise them. Toon decks. You watch my profile. Just straight 3 massive toons. First turn, go first, get 3 toons out first turn. If he doesn't take away all of them or your field card in the first turn, that's direct damage to 3rd turn OTK or to TTK. Yeah, that works. That's a thing. Matthew Mosley, our Lord and Savior, the Skull Servant. I accept this title graciously. Glad to see somebody's appreciating the non-meta decks. If it's non-meta, it's better. That is the whole slogan. Meta decks are boring. They're so boring. It's Triton does the same thing. Eldritch does the same thing, sometimes in varying ways. Tri-Brigade, who I don't come up to very, very often, but they do the same thing. Rapid summoning. And what was the other one? Numerons. Like, Numerons, I'm going to say, is slightly meta, but it's only just. It's only just. It can still be beaten, but it's only just. Like, Tri-Brigade, Eldritch, and frickin' the big one, Triton, they can all be countered by Nibs, Kaijus, Lava Golems, Winged Dragon of Ross Sphere Mode. They don't require your deck to beat them. They just require you to have the proper anti-meta card in your hand to beat them. I have videos that I haven't uploaded where my Skull Servants have beaten Tritons, have beaten Eldritch, have beaten Tri-Brigade. Why? Because my opening hand, they chose to go first to set up their board. I got Sphere Mode, I got Nibs, I got Kaijus. I do my tribute on my turn to get rid of their thing, and they surrender because they know in the time it takes me to like play out the duel, they could very well just go on and win that duel anyway, but they don't want to because they can quit, start a new game, and then their next opponent will quit after setting up their board. So they can take 1 loss, but in the time it takes them to finish that duel, they would have gotten 4 wins since then. So I don't upload. I've told people in comment sections, I've beaten Triton, I've beaten Tri-Brigade, I've beaten Eldritch, but not with my Skull Servants, with just the fact that I have the right anti-meta card in my hand at the time. And a deck that precise, that can get undone by 1 card that isn't even part of your deck, isn't a fun deck to play, because where's our battle? If I upload videos and I'm like Skull Servants versus Triton, and all I did was summon freaking ancient Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode and they quit, that's not my Skull Servant showing up. That's just Sphere. That's just Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode. That's just Nibiru. My first YouTube sort was of Nibiru. Like, it's doable, but it's not great. So those decks are glass cannons. They're so fragile, but they cut. They're obsidian blades. They're so fragile, but they cut really, really well if your opponent doesn't have a counter. But if he does have a counter, perfect. But you can look at decks like Skull Servants or Luna Lights or Necro Valleys or Toons. Or even freaking Ojamas. There's like, those decks are like, yes, they're anti-meta, but because they're anti-meta, they're fluid like water, like Bruce Lee said. You can take 1 card away, they just come back, they just do more stuff. It's perfect. It's so much fun. That is the thrill of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's, how are you going to destroy my boss monster? Well, I either need to bring my boss monster back or get a different boss monster. My Necromancers or my Gravekeepers have either Gravekeeper Supernaturalist or Quintet Magician. Like, great. And I'll probably put in other stuff like getting access code talker out. Yeah, you can do that. And I've got a deck. I got a game where I had a really good game last night, and I lost my access code talker, lost to another person's access code. Grand, that's perfect, but it's access code talker versus access code talker. I'm not running cybers. I'm running something else that the meta demands I put access code talker in. You know, it's not a video I want to put up, but to answer your question, it's the non-meta decks are great because they're so fluid and janky. There's so much stuff to do. Like heroes, masked heroes are meta, or just about their swift meta, but like they're good because it's all mass change. It's all this. It's all super stuff. I'm so happy Konami brought out recent support for the Neos heroes. Like it's great. It's great because you want, like, that was the fun with GX. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Original was fantastic, but it was like 3-4 episodes for one duel. Like Yugi's duel versus Arcana, which I always bring around, was like one whole week. Like it was like watching Dragon Ball Z. It was like the planet will blow up in 5 minutes. Okay, fucking 4 weeks later, still blowing up. But GX was like, this episode's got a duel. This episode's got a duel. This episode to be continued, it'll have half a duel. Next episode, we'll finish that duel. Big end of season arcs, 1 duel, 3 episodes. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And that's what you love about watching Jaden duel, or watching Chaz duel, or watching even Alexis with her Cybers duel. Like, there's so much fluidity. Jaden had so many options. You want options. This is what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun to watch. Not setting up a board for like 15-20 minutes. And I'm not complaining about the whole thing. I'm just saying that I get why other people are complaining. It's not fun to watch, but it is how it is. But that doesn't mean that anti-metas can't have fun with and against each other. So make it popular, clog up the ladder, and before you know it, Drytons and Eldritches and stuff will just be like, maybe I will make a sushi monster deck. Maybe I will make a left-right shark deck. That Xyz deck is really fun if you haven't seen it. Yeah. Edwin Prieto, new subscriber, saw the way you run the scroll servants and wondering if you could get a deck profile. Always put my deck profiles at the bottom of my descriptions. I'll always link the YouTuber Neo Inferno, who helped me make my thumbnails. I make most of them now myself, but he's the one that got it. I'll always give a like and subscribe. I'll let you guys know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. I'll put the deck descriptions there. I'll always give my decks a fun name. I think my tunes are Saturday morning is my Saturday morning deck list. My invoked Ojamas is that. I'll always put a little something there. But yeah, it's good to be on YouTube. It's good to have you guys sharing content and just sharing everything. It's fantastic. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for fighting over first. Thanks for just kind of making the whole journey. Well, I mean, I remember when I got 25 subscribers, 30 subscribers, 35, I was watching, maybe I got like 1 or 2 a day. It was perfect. Maybe sometimes I got 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden, I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works, but I started seeing, okay, well my video where my Skull Servants beat an Eldritch deck is like a 3, 4, 5 minute video, is on 200 views. All of my stuff was like under 50, and that video was on 300, then 400, 500, then 600. Then another deck where I do a Skull Servant Masterclass, where basically it was a good battle and it ran through kind of what most of the Skull Servant deck does. It's one of my earliest videos. That picked up 200, 300, 400, 500, while the other one was like 700, 800. And I was like, oh my god, am I going to reach 1,000 on a video? Like, I've only made like 10, 15 videos. What the heck's going on? The rest of my stuff is barely over 100 views each. And like, what's going on? And now that video is on about 4,500 views. The Skull Servant School is on 2,200 views. A deck where my Skull Servants beat Sky Strikers is on 1,000 views. A couple of my Dragon videos are on, when I'm facing like really good Blue Eyes White Dragon decks, are on 400 or 500 views. I've noticed that a lot of the videos where my Skull Servants and the other anti-meta decks are able to beat meta decks, so Eldritch, Sky Strikers, Numeron, OTK, they get a lot more views. And then a couple of the Super Saiyan Skull Servants I put up when I do manage to get a perfect hand with a perfect OTK against a perfect opponent. But they just started going up and up and up, and now I'm on 142 subscribers and counting on this road to 1,000. My videos are reaching, a couple of my videos are reaching over 1,000 views. I thank all of you. I thank my lovely friends for pushing me. I thank my lovely wife for standing by me. And yeah, I'll do another Q&A, let's say at 500. Yeah, let's do another one. If there's any other questions or anything like that, if you have always suggestions, I'll take suggestions as well. I forgot Samurai Skull was a card, and someone suggested putting that in instead of Mezuki and Gozuki and a couple of other things like Armageddon Knight. I did that, it worked well. So yeah, If you got comments, if you got stories, if you're using the deck and you have any questions about it, if you're using any of my deck profiles and you have any questions about it or what you can add or take away, do let me know. And other than that, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video at 500. If I've been looking around and everything like that, just know I'm not very good at this, but I will get better at keeping my eyes focused. Is the focused? You see, pull my eyes away. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.